Hey friends, Modern Horizons 3 Commander Precons are being revealed this week, one per day, and today we got the first of the 4 Precons. Check out Creative Energy. This is the Jeskai Energy deck. Now, the Energy archetype never really had enough card support to be fully fleshed out in Commander, but with the help of this Precon and the previous Precon, the Fallout Jeskai Energy deck that came out a few months ago, and the fact that the main set of Modern Horizons 3 heavily pushes Jeskai Energy as a dominant archetype, we now have more than enough cards to make a really sweet Jeskai Energy deck in Commander. But before we begin, 2 quick reminders. First, if you want to support the channel and check out all the other previews that we have coming up this week, be sure to like and subscribe. And number 2, if you want to pre-order these sweet new Commander Precons, you can head on over to our sponsor, Karheem.com/MTG Goldfish. Alright, we begin with the face commander, Satya Aetherflux Genius. This is a 4-mana Jeskai 3/5 legendary creature human artificer. It has menace and haste, and whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to one other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy counters. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So for those who aren't familiar with the energy archetype, basically it's all about either generating energy counters or spending energy counters. And for the most part, every single card that is in the energy archetype both generates and spends energy. So in the case of Satya, you want to be attacking with it. You'll be generating 2 energy each time you're attacking. You get to copy something, which is extra value. And then if you want that copy to stick around, you can spend energy equal to its mana value to keep it around. So Satya works a little bit differently than the other Jeskai Energy commanders we just got previously with the Fallout Commander Precon. Compared to the other 2, Dr. Madison Lee is the least aggressive of the commanders. It doesn't really want to be attacking at all. It just kind of passively generates value off casting artifact spells, and then it has really powerful tap abilities. And Liberty Prime also works based on artifacts. You want to have a lot of artifacts on the battlefield so you can sacrifice them to Liberty Prime, and it focuses more as a Voltron commander when it's in the command zone. Satya, however, is quite different. It wants to be attacking like Liberty Prime, however, it doesn't mention artifacts at all. So you don't even have to run artifacts in your deck to generate value of Satya, you just have to be attacking with it. And it makes copies of other creatures, so you want to be focusing more heavily on creatures that have powerful enter the battlefield or leave the battlefield triggers, or at least like combat triggers. Now that said, energy and artifacts basically always go hand in hand together. They were first introduced in the Kaladesh set, which was an artifact and energy based set. And basically all the best energy generators are also artifacts, and usually energy and artifacts usually cross synergize together a lot. So even though Satya doesn't specifically call out artifacts, this Precon, like the previous Precon and like the main set, is basically an energy artifact deck. Now, to properly build around Satya, I'd be focusing primarily on creatures that have powerful enter the battlefield triggers, like the ones that enter the battlefield and generate energy, like the Mother Lode, or ones that generate energy when they deal combat damage to a player, like Imperial Voyager. This is an energy deck, so you want to be generating as much energy as possible and then find really good payoffs for energy. So anything that is a creature that you can copy that does stuff with energy, specifically generates energy with Satya being copied, is really, really good. And the second thing you want to be focusing on is giving Satya evasion. This is a 3/5 with menace, so it doesn't have the best evasion, and there could be situations where you can't profitably attack with Satya, and if Satya is not attacking on your turn, then it's just not accruing any value. So any ways of granting Satya evasion is going to be really clutch. One of the main set cards, Guide of Souls, is an excellent upgrade for the deck because when you're attacking with Satya, you can pay 3 energy and give it flying and also boost its power at the same time. The secondary commander of the deck is Kaith, Famed Mechanist. This is a 4-mana 3/3 legendary creature dwarf artificer and has Fabricate 1. So when this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it, or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, and other non-token creatures you control have Fabricate 1, and you can pay 2 mana, tap it, choose 1, populate, or proliferate. So Kaith doesn't actually care about energy at all, which is kind of weird to see it in the energy precon, because like that's its entire shtick. This one only cares about casting creatures, basically. If you cast a bunch of creatures, if your deck is very creature heavy, then all of them get either +1/+1 counters, or you get to generate a bunch of artifact creature tokens. And then you get to populate, which makes you have more creature tokens, or you could proliferate, which, you know, kind of works with energy. It gives you one energy counter. It's not a very efficient way of generating energy. It's one of the worst ways of generating energy in the deck, but you know, it does work with the precon, I guess. But more importantly is if you have a really sweet creature token on the battlefield, you can copy it and now you have two really sweet creature tokens. This commander, honestly, in my opinion, is very disappointing. Like, it's not really exciting. It's really powerful as just like a generic fabricate generator in a creature heavy deck, but it doesn't really do anything exciting for energy, and that's the whole point of the deck, which is kind of disappointing. I guess it's here in case you accidentally buy the energy deck and you find out that you don't like energy and you want to just turn it into like a more generic creature deck that maybe has some +1/+1 counter synergies or artifact synergies. Then this is a nice fallback commander for that. But like, man, I wish we just had another really cool energy commander. I don't know. Kind of disappointing. All right, moving on, we have the other brand new cards in the deck. There are 15 brand new exclusive cards in each of the commander decks. So we just covered the first two that can be your commander, and now we're going to be checking out the next 13. So first up, we got Hourglass of the Lost. This is a 3-mana white artifact. It taps to add 1 white mana, put a time counter on the Hourglass, and then you can tap it to remove X counters from the Hourglass and exile it. Return each non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So the Hourglass continues the long-standing tradition of having 3-drop mana rocks that tap for 1 mana, but then have some other really sweet utility. And in this case, eventually you can cash in the Hourglass to reanimate possibly multiple permanents from your graveyard directly onto the battlefield, which is incredibly powerful. This is a really elegant design because on turn 3, for example, you want to be ramping, so you play your Hourglass, and then by the late game, when you don't actually need that mana anymore, you can just cash this in to reanimate 1, 2, maybe even 3 things from your graveyard. Like, let's say you have a bunch of like 2-drops or 3-drops in your graveyard, you can just cash in the Hourglass, remove 2 time counters from it to get a bunch of 2-drops from your graveyard directly onto the battlefield, or a bunch of 3-drops if you remove 3 counters, or even higher than that if you have more counters available. And that's just really good design, and that's exactly what you're looking for when you're looking for flexible ramp. You're paying 1 additional mana essentially for this ramp card, but then later on you get to cash it in for reanimation when you actually don't need the mana anymore. So that's really good. You can obviously make this card even more powerful in a proliferate deck, so you can actually add on more time counters, and this makes this card even better in the mid to late game, like when, let's say you play this on turn 6 or so, where you don't really have that much time left in the game to actually accrue enough time counters to reanimate some spicy stuff. If you have this in a proliferate deck with cards like Flux Channeler, Evolution Sage, Atraxa, you can pile up on the time counters super quickly, so even in the mid to late game, this can be a very potent reanimation spell. The next card we've got is probably the best card in the energy archetype. It's Localized Destruction. This is a 5-mana white sorcery that says you get an energy counter, then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, each creature you control with power equal to the amount of energy paid this way gains indestructible until end of turn, and you destroy all creatures. Now, I keep saying this in all my videos, but basically asymmetrical board wipes are the single most powerful types of spells you can cast in Commander. Wiping the board of your opponent's stuff while leaving your stuff untouched means that you are so far ahead of the rest of the table. You're putting back your opponents really, really far behind. You're not putting yourself that far behind. And then you also have free reign to just attack however you please, possibly ending the game, but at the very least not fearing any sort of retribution when you're swinging out. So one-sided board wipes, asymmetrical board wipes, those are the most powerful type of cards I want to be running in my commander decks. Now this one isn't quite a fully one-sided board wipe. You're only going to be saving creatures whose power is equal to the amount of energy paid this way. So if you pay 3 energy, for example, you're only saving your 3 power creatures, not all of your creatures if you have varying power levels, but you're going to be saving your most important creatures, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, this card is obviously very, very sweet in an energy deck. Next we have Razorfield Ripper. This is a 3 mana white. Whenever it or a quick creature attacks, you get an energy, and then get +X until end of turn, where X is the amount of energy you have, and you can pay Reconfigure of 2 mana, or 3 energy. So this is a fine beater in the energy deck. It's not like super impressive or anything, but it comes out relatively early. It generates energy, which is very important, and then you don't actually have to spend that energy to get value out of it. In fact, it rewards you for storing up a bunch of energy. And in a proper energy deck, you can easily have like 10 or more energy stored at any given time. The whole point of the energy deck actually is to have more energy than you can really spend realistically. So a 3-drop that can swing in for 13/13 or giving a creature +10/+10 or something like that is really good. It's not the best beat stick in energy, but it is a good one, and it comes out early and it generates energy. It's just good. Next we have Salvation Colossus. This is an 8 mana white 9/9 artifact creature construct. It has flying, vigilance, and trample, and whenever you attack, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain indestructible until end of turn, and you can unearth it by paying 8 energy. So this is the exact opposite of the Rhino. That was an early game beat stick. This is a late game beat stick. 8 mana is an absolute ton to cast for any spell if it doesn't immediately win the game, but it is a repeatable overrun whenever you're attacking. It itself doesn't need to attack, by the way, so you can just cast it and then attack with your creatures, and even though it doesn't have haste or anything, it still gives all your creatures +2/+2 and indestructible until end of turn, and that sets you up for like a really nice board wipe if you're doing that on the same turn, for example. And then even better is the unearth cost. You could ideally cast this for 0 mana, just paying 8 energy, put this on the battlefield, immediately swing with a 9/9 flyer with trample, and then also pump up your team and hopefully win the game off that. So it's a nice thematic finisher for the energy deck. It's also an artifact, so it's very easy for Jeskai colors to put this in the graveyard and unearth it with like a Goblin Welder or whatever. So there's a lot of synergy potential here too to make it even more powerful. But yeah, just playing it straight in an energy deck, it's going to be really good, and it's very thematic, and it does some serious work. Next, we have a card that is weirdly in the energy deck, but has nothing to do with energy at all. It's Silverquill Lecturer. This is a 5 mana white 3/3 creature core wizard, and it says creature spells you cast have demonstrate. So whenever you cast a creature spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent to also copy it. Each copy becomes a token. So there is a creature token, creature copy synergy in the Precon. Obviously, the face commander makes creature clones whenever it's attacking, and then our secondary commander can populate, so this works particularly well with that one. But for the most part, this is not the greatest synergy with the rest of the deck. I would be more excited to run the Lecturer in decks that actually care about populating as the main theme. So like Kaith, the secondary commander, or if we shift this over into Selesnya or 9 colors, Gyraid, Conclave Exile, and Tristani Selesnya's Voice are both kind of the de facto face commanders for populate as an archetype, and I think both of them will absolutely love the Silverquill Lecturer, and it's going to be more powerful there than it is here. It's still good here, but it's not quite as powerful as in a dedicated populate deck. All right, next up we have Aurora Shifter. This is a 2 mana blue 1/3 creature shapeshifter, and it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get that many energy, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 2 energy. When you do, Aurora Shifter becomes a copy of another target creature control, except it has this ability, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you get that many energy. So by itself, not very exciting as a 2/1 1/3 that, can generate 1 energy when it's dealing combat damage. However, you really just want to have another bigger creature on the battlefield that Aurora Shifter can transform into. The bigger, the more power it has, the better, because that means more and more energy that you're generating. So obviously the best case scenario is you have like the Colossus on the battlefield and then you swing with the shifter as a 9/9 Colossus and generate 9 energy each time you're swinging at the same time. That's super sweet. But yeah, basically any big creature you have on the battlefield, the shifter is going to be really, really good value in an energy deck. Next we have Blaster Hulk, and this is another big boy. This is an 8 mana red 8/8 artifact creature pirate. Ooh, it's a pirate, I like that. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each energy you've paid or lost this turn. So it costs 8 mana if you didn't spend or lose any energy this turn, but it can be as little as 2 mana if you've spent 6 or more energy this turn, which is really nice. It has haste, so it immediately is attacking, and whenever it attacks, you get 2 energy, then you may pay 8 energy. When you do, it deals 8 damage divided as you choose among up to 8 targets. Now this is a card. Now this is like one of the most exciting payoffs for an energy deck. Realistically, in the proper setup, you should be casting this for like 4 mana, maybe as little as 2 mana. I don't know how efficiently you can be generating and spending your energy in this deck, but I assume you can be casting this for at least like 4 or less. It has haste, it immediately attacks for 8, it generates 2, and then if you do have 8 more energy lying around, you can just blow up any potential blockers or just any threatening creature and just smack somebody for 8 the turn you cast it. Yeah, this card is great. This card is really, really good, and this actually makes me really excited to play an energy deck, and I also love this like a mecha pirate. That's just cute. I like it. So yeah, A+, really like this card. Moving on, we have Filigree Racer. This is a 3 mana red 5/5 artifact vehicle, and when it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy counters, very sweet. And when it attacks, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains jumpstart until end of turn, and it has crew of only 1. So this card is quite nice. It doesn't have haste, but it immediately enters the battlefield with 4 energy counters. It has a crew cost of just 1, so you can chop like a 1/1 servo or whatever, and then you swing in with a 5/5. And then its attack trigger is quite nice, like 2 energies, not that much. You don't get to cast the instant or sorcery for no mana, which kind of sucks, but it is recursion, which is quite nice, and it is mana efficient for what it's doing. 3 mana for a 5/5 crew 1 with 4 energy, and then has graveyard recursion potential. It's all well and good. I like it overall. Next, we have Overclocked Electromancer. This is a 3 mana red 2/2 creature lizard wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Overclocked Electromancer. Whenever it attacks, double its power until end of turn. And whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, if that creature was dealt excess damage this turn, you get X energy, where X is excess damage. Now this card, I don't really like too much. First of all, it doesn't generate any energy very easily by itself. It costs energy, 3 energy. It puts just a +1/+1 counter on it when you do so. When it's attacking, let's say you play it, give it haste, or just wait a turn, attack, pay 3 energy into it, then it's just swinging in as a 6/6, and then your opponents have to block for it to generate any energy or get any extra value out of it, which, you know, they don't really have to do so. Obviously, if it gets big enough, like obviously a 6/6 for 3 is already pretty solid, and they're probably going to be tempted to at least chump block it, so you will be generating energy eventually, but it's just kind of slow and a little bit clunky. Like if it had haste, I would like it a lot more, but as is, I'm kind of iffy on it, to be honest. Then we've got Sphinx of the Revelation. This is a 5 mana Azorius 4/5 artifact creature Sphinx. It has flying, a lifelink, and whenever you gain life, you get that many energy. Ooh, I like that. And you could pay a white, a double blue, so 3 mana total, tap it, pay X energy, draw X cards. Now this is a really solid energy generator. It has flying and lifelink. It's a 4/5 body for 5. That's pretty okay. It doesn't have haste, but as soon as you attack with it, you're going to be gaining 4 or more life. You get 4 energy each time you're hitting with it, essentially. And then if you don't, if you have a bunch of energy and you don't want to be attacking, you could just instant speed, draw a bunch of cards. And I like that. I like that quite a bit. I like the name. I really like the reference that it's Sphinx's Revelation. I think this card is much more playable than Sphinx's Revelation because you don't have to actually spend additional mana to draw your cards. You just have to spend energy. It does the thing really well. It's an artifact, so extra artifact synergy. I like it. It's not like super busted or anything. It really wants haste or ways of pumping up its power to gain more life, because this deck doesn't really gain that much life in general. But yeah, it's really good at what it's doing, and I like it a whole bunch. It's cute. All right. Then we've got another 3-drop mana rock, and this one is quite spicy. It's Conversion Apparatus. It's a 3-mana colorless artifact. You can tap it to add 1 colorless, boo, but you can also pay 3 mana, tap it, get 3 energy. Also kind of boo, honestly, because that costs 4 mana to make 3 energy. That's not super exciting, but then the last one is very exciting. You can tap it, pay 3 energy, add 3 mana in any combination of colors. So this is essentially, in an energy deck, once the energy is doing its thing and you've got a big surplus of energy to work with, this is a 3-drop artifact mana rock that taps for 3 mana immediately, which is very, very nice. Early on, it's kind of like, meh, you know, like it's a 3-drop that just taps for 1 colorless. If you're truly desperate or you have a lot of mana available but no energy, you can essentially pay what is 4 mana. It taps for 1, so you have to tap it and then pay 3 mana, so 4 to generate 3 energy counters. Not a great rate. But the last ability, once you do have a lot of energy counters, a 3-drop that taps for 3 mana is just really good. So yeah, it's really good mid to late game. Early game, it's like acceptable. But yeah, it's a really spicy mana rock. I like it. Next, we have the Return of the Stone Idols. This is the Stone Idol Generator. This is a 5-mana colorless artifact, and it says whenever a creature you control attacks, you get an energy. And you can tap it, pay 6 energy, create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with trample, activate only as a sorcery. So it's a 5-drop. Instead of being like a coastal piracy effect, drawing you a bunch of cards or anything, it's just whenever you're attacking, you make energy. So it's a pretty decent energy generator, although I kind of wish it was a little bit cheaper because you already have to do an extra hoop of attacking with your creatures to generate energy. So 5 is quite a bit, but then it comes with an extra ability. If you have a bunch of energy, you can just tap it, pay 6, pay 0 mana while you're doing so, and get a 6/12 onto the battlefield with trample. That's really spicy. I like that a lot. So yeah, early on, it's like an okay-ish energy generator. It's like fine for 5 mana, but its payoff ability is really good. Just putting 6/12s on the battlefield with trample is an easy way to win games over a couple turns. So yeah, I like it. It's a pretty decent okay-ish energy generator, okay-ish finisher. Yeah, I like it. And the last new card from the Precon is Aether Refinery. This is a 6-mana red artifact that says if you would get 1 or more energy, you get twice that many energy instead. And you can tap it, you get an energy, which is actually 2 because it doubles it. Then you may pay 1 or more energy. If you do, create an XX black Aetherborn creature token where X is the amount of energy paid this way. So this is the required doubler for the archetype. If you make energy, you make double that energy, and it even taps to make energy. And then eventually, when you have too much energy that you know what to do with, you can make big game-ending threats. Or at the very least, if you're being attacked, you can just like tap this, generate 2 energy, spend 1 of that energy, make a 1/1 blocker. You know, that's totally fine. It's 6 mana, so it's on the top end, but it's well worth it, right? As soon as you're playing it on the battlefield, you're going to very quickly find yourself in a position where you have more energy than you know what to spend it on, which is always a great problem to have in an energy deck. And the fact that it doubles as a finisher too is A+ for me. All right, so those were all 15 of the brand new cards coming in the Precon, and now we're going to be checking out the rest of the deck, which are the reprints. And we're going to be kicking things off with the most expensive cards in the deck, the top 4 most expensive ones. These are not going to be the same editions that are going to be finding in the Precon. They're going to have possibly different art, and they're all going to be having the same symbol as the Commander Modern Horizons 3 Precons, not the ones you see here. Definitely not the professional Facebreaker you see there, because that's a secret lair card. I'm going to put up the regular version one so you can see what the card text is. But yeah, we'll look at the top ones. So we got Akroma's Will, which is $20, pushing $21, so that's an excellent reprint, and it's a Commander staple. Goldspan Dragon is $19 because Treasures is so popular in Commander, and it's one of the best treasure cards. Gonti's Aether Heart went up very high when the previous energy deck the Fallout Commander Precon was revealed and it didn't have Gonti's Aether Heart, so a lot of people bought this one. It's one of the best energy payoffs in the deck, in the archetype. And then finally, Professional Facebreaker. It's just generically very, very powerful. Obviously, it's much better in a treasure deck, but you can just slam this in basically any deck. And it's also very CDH playable too, so just a generically really powerful red card. So yeah, that's already a lot of value in the top 4, but let's check out the rest of them now. We're going to be kicking things off with the creatures. We're going to be starting at the lowest mana value and working our way up to the highest mana value. And then we're going to be checking out instant sorceries, enchantments, artifacts, planeswalkers if there are any, and then finally the lands. So most of these cards are just going to be things that generate energy and spend energy. Surprise, surprise. So first we've got Aether Geode Miner. It's a really nice early game energy generator. You can play it on turn 2, start swinging, start generating energy. Amped Raptor is from the main set. It's very powerful when you cast it from your hand because it just generates card advantage. Gorenzo Havoc Razor is kind of weird here. It doesn't do anything with energy, but it does kind of work well with attacking because you can goad your opponent's creatures, potential blockers, to get them out of the way, I guess. And the deck also needs more card advantage. That's something I've noticed. Like, our commander doesn't generate any card advantage, and a lot of the energy cards don't generate card advantage. So I guess maybe this is here to just kind of like mess with combat and also generate some card advantage. Royal Cartographer is a very nice energy generator. It's also new. Burnished Heart, I do not like it here. I think it's kind of old and outdated, but it's an artifact, I guess, so that's cool. Skyclave Apparition also doesn't really care about energy, but it's just a really solid blink target with our commander. And then we've got more energy generators with Whirler Virtuoso, and also Aetherstone Rocket, which is particularly good with our commander too. Then we've got Solemn Simulacrum, another really great option with our commander, and it's also an artifact, is a really good blink target. Angel of Invention, also a nice blink target kind of, and works well with our themes. Lightning Runner, an excellent energy generator, same thing with Aethertide Whale. Brutaclad Techlore Engineer is an interesting one. We do have some token generators in the deck that Brutaclad kind of works with. It's also an artifact, so that's kind of neat, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of weird here, honestly. Combustible Gearhulk is an artifact that also is a really good copy target with our commander. Aether Squall Ancient works really well with energy. Mere Battlesphere is artifact related, I guess. I don't like it here either. Then we have some spells. Source of Plowshares, a staple. Glimmer of Genius, energy staple. Tezzeret's Gambit, draw 2 cards and make an energy, I guess. Confiscation Coup is a nice removal spell with our energy. Then we've got Austere Command is a staple. Board Wipe. Farewell is a really nice staple over here too that it's got reprinted. Then we got Sol Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, Arcane Signet, Decoction Module, which is nice. Is it Generatorium? Oh man, I messed that one up. It's a really, really good energy generator though. Solar Transformer is also very good. And then we've got Talismans, Talisman Conviction, Creativity, Progress. Unstable Amulet is very powerful in the energy deck. Then Aethersphere Harvester generates energy. Coalition Relic is an artifact, but it also cares about counters, and we have a little bit of Proliferate. Midnight Clock, again, it's an artifact. It's a mana rock. It works well with Proliferate. Aetherworks Marvel, though, huge reprint here. It's $12, so I might have missed it in the top 4. I don't know, but it's a very significant reprint. It's one of the best payoffs in an artifact deck. It generates a lot of energy, especially if you're like adding fetch lands or whatever to the deck. Then you can just spend all that energy to generate card advantage and also like impulse draw, which is really nice. And then we have Bespoke Battle Wagon, another really great energy card. It generates energy and then just does a whole bunch of stuff with it. Coveted Jewel, it's an artifact, draws the cards, I guess it's okay. Era of Innovation is a great draw card and also energy generator. Biden Thassa, it's an artifact, it draws the cards, really nice. Scurry of Gremlins, a new card that is also really powerful here. Gives our stuff haste and lets us attack. Legion Loyalty works with the token creature thingy that's going on with our secondary commander, I guess. I don't know, it's okay. And then we get the lands. Adakar Waste is a very notable land. It's creeping up to $5. Aether Hub is like the best land in the deck because, it does energy things, which is cute. It's like a our City of Brass that's on theme. Then we got Azorius Chancery, Battlefield Forge, I like it. Castle of Vantress, do not like it here. Not in a 3-color deck, and I don't like it in general, honestly. Command Tower is good. Demolition Field's good. Frostboreal Snarl, Fearcom Snarl, they're fine. Izzet Boilerworks is good. Mystic Gate is good. Mystic Monastery, it's a tapland, taps for all 3 colors, it's quite good. Port Town is good. Prairie Stream is good. Shivan Reef is good. And then the temples, they're fine. They're okay. And then the rest are just basic lands, islands, plains, and mountains. And that's the deck, everybody. Creative Energy. It says it's $191, but obviously all the cards are going to plummet in price once they're actually released. Like the new card prices are like $20 or whatever before they're actually released to the public. And then once they do, they're going to crash down to like $5 or whatever for most of them. But yeah, overall, I think the deck is quite strong and I'm excited to play it. My only disappointment is that they don't go fully with the energy theme and they kind of, you know, throw in a little bit of like, oh, we have populate matters and stuff as well if you don't like energy, I guess, which I think is a cop-out. It's kind of boring. And also, I don't think we're going to be seeing energy show up again anytime soon. So it would have been nice to see a deck fully dedicated to just energy slots with all the new cards and stuff and not like other things. But I understand that they want to be a little bit more open-ended and stuff. But between Creative Energy, the Fallout Precon, and the main set cards that are not in this deck, you're going to have a really powerful Jeskai Energy deck available to you. So if you really want to upgrade it and juice it up to be the most powerful Jeskai Energy deck possible, you have a lot of new cards to work with, and that's really exciting. And that's it, everyone. I'm going to be back for the next 3 precons as they're being released every single day. So be sure to like and subscribe to never miss a video. And until then, friends, see ya.